All right, I just hit record.
Wait a second. Let me grab coffee.
Hey, Jenna.
Hi, friend.
How you doing this morning?
Oh, snowpocalypse has officially hit us. I texted you an image, but I think we have 18 inches of snow.
That's insane.
We're getting more today. Like another wave is coming through today. So my kids are outside. They have a snow day.
Of course.
Staying in the snow now. I think they might have a snow day tomorrow, which is really going to mess with my schedule. But
wow, that's a lot. Yeah, we had our temp day, freezing temps Friday, and they're back at school today with our 6 to 8 inches here in Chicago. We don't miss
Chicago. I mean, look, though, I will say we're pretty good with snow. Like in Boston, they know how to handle it for the most part. But this was not since about 2015 have I seen this volume of snow so quickly. And then I am curious what's going to happen with this next wave that we get today. I'm hoping it's another like 6 inches max and not crazy, because getting out of the house, like snow blowing and everything, it's excessive.
2 feet. That's nuts. And it's everywhere nationally, wrecking everybody up today.
Oh my God. Well, I think we were talking about this, but we were trying to do some local media pitching.
Yeah.
For a client, completely unrelated. And like, you can't. I mean, it's just dominating coverage. So
yeah,
between that and then, of course, what's happening right now in Minneapolis.
Yes.
You know, basically just like sit tight, brands. You don't need to do anything else right now.
Absolutely. It's a tough moment for the country, sizzling always beneath the surface. And, you know, sometimes you sit here and think it can't get any worse, and then somehow it does. And it's so upsetting. It is so polarizing too. The fact that we can't have discourse in a meaningful way that allows people to express their opinions in a way that they feel heard, right? And everybody does deserve to feel heard. I truly believe that, no matter what side you sit on.
And even more so, like, everyone deserves to feel safe.
Yes.
Right? Like that's what's getting me. I feel like you can be on the left or the right at this point, and we know plenty of people on both sides. And I just like, people should feel safe. I think that's what it comes down to. And there's a way to have those conversations and still not feel fear for your life. Yes. I think we could talk about this all day on a personal side, right? And it's not only flooding our news channels, but it's dominating social media and conversations with friends, old colleagues, all of it. I think if we look at it from the point of view of this podcast, right, and what we should be talking about here, there are a few things. Generally, when something is happening, we kind of tell brands, just sit tight, stay away, right? Unless you really have a strong political reason to jump in, right? Unless you typically lean one way or the other and express that openly, it's not appropriate for you to jump in. We want to make sure you stay authentic. But I will say we did see some brands make some comments in the last few days. And I personally feel that those are very appropriate and warranted because this is happening in their backyard, right?
Yeah, completely. Do you want to give an example of one that you thought was genuine?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that I saw, so there was an open letter. It was signed by, I think, 60 CEOs of local companies, and it was across sectors. You had healthcare, CPG, local sports, other local companies. Target was a huge one, General Mills, 3M, so like really large notable companies. And essentially the letter was saying that they have actively been working in the last week or two behind the scenes with local and national government, trying to find a solution. And at this point, with what happened over the weekend and the death of yet another citizen, it was calling for an immediate de-escalation. It was just saying, like, please, let's take a beat and we can figure this out in a more traditional way, using discourse and conversation, because this isn't working. What's happening right now, it's not working for anybody. So I think that was a nice, it was a nice example of one, companies coming together and essentially putting politics aside, right? And just saying like, let's be humans for a second and get this done.
Absolutely. And relevant in their backyard, right? These companies are headquartered in the area. I think that things like this, apparently will be back in Chicago in April. We have also had casualties that haven't made national news, more in the suburban parts of Chicagoland. But it puts you even more on your heels than great. They're coming back. There's going to be another wave of not only the terrible stories, but what can happen next when this kind of martial law is allowed. And this power is put in the hands of people that aren't official, and things escalate, and violence is the first thing that comes to mind. It is completely daunting. There are no words for it.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on this. Obviously, it's impacting everyone right now, U.S. and honestly, beyond the U.S. But we'll leave it there for now and keep an eye on the situation, and hopefully it does de-escalate in the coming days. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about, more of what we're seeing in the industry and seeing brands do. I know you and I both have a former colleague who had an article posted in Adweek. It was Adweek, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, smart article about kind of the return of in real life.
IRL.
IRL. And honestly, events were the backbone of the heyday of public relations a decade ago or more. Obviously in pre-COVID times, so call it 2019 and prior, where you would actually get media in person to see an on-site activation, feel the brand, experience the brand. But this article on Adweek is basically saying, yeah, we are coming back to it. And it's not necessarily about the mega experiences. It might be more about more intimate types of experience, smaller groups, niche audiences that are very much interested in certain things. And so you might really be reaching people on an even deeper engagement, a deeper level. And I love that thought as we've sort of segmented across different interests, especially in COVID. I think people kind of discovered a lot of things they enjoy that they were running so fast on the hamster wheel prior, they might not have really understood this is what makes them tick. So here we are with some new hope for culture building and experience building, friendship building, all the rest of it. What was your take, Jenna?
No, I think it's about human connection, right? And 2025 was a year where we did start to see kind of people start to go back to office. I saw and heard a lot of people that I know personally say they liked it. They wanted to go back. Now, there's a whole other side of needing to find balance, right? And we are both working mothers. And so there's a lot there. I'm not going to fully digress, but I've seen a lot of articles about, women leaving the workforce in the last year. And some of it is because more stringent back to the office rules and regs, but we'll leave that for another day.
Yeah.
What I will say is for this article, I do think it was about connection. And I think that there's something really fun and interesting there. I think that it's also the time to look at the value of a customer. If you're looking at it from a brand perspective, events cost money. There are definitely cheaper ways to reach a consumer and to get awareness and attention, but events have a different impact, a lasting impact. And so I think it is about what is the lifetime value of a customer? What is it worth for you to get that? As brands start to kind of evaluate if they want to have more of these events. It's also looking at the segmentation of your customers.
Yeah.
So I do think across the board, people are seeking more connection. So that is something that's unified, but I think it's at varying levels. So Gen Alpha, and you have a Gen Alpha at home, right?
Yes. A couple of them.
Exactly. Well, and I guess so do I.
Yeah,
but,
you do.
But the age of yours, they're growing up in this really interesting time where it's all digital and they're so savvy with everything at their fingertips, but they are also seeking in-person experiences.
Yeah. And I do think it's what you serve up to the younger generation. I mean, these guys are still under the influence of guardians. So, I mean, one example is with my son of he went away with a friend to Michigan. When we met up at his basketball game, we're transferring everything from one car to the other. And we ask about the iPad. Is that something we should bring? And the dad's like, actually, no, not in Michigan. My son doesn't have his. I think your son will be great without it. They were out. They were playing in the snow, just those two, building forts, adventuring. That was way more akin to how we grew up and forging these moments, right, that are off screen. It's just a different approach. And I dare say that forms much, much stronger bonds in the long run.
And it's funny because that actually takes me back to what we've talked about on here already, which is nostalgia and these brands leaning into nostalgia. And it all fits together, right? With that lean into nostalgia and you and I remembering our childhoods and how we formed bonds. It is also lending itself to more of these kind of small scale events. You're not seeing these massive like stunt driving events that we did maybe like 2010. You're seeing smaller pop-ups come to life, right? You're seeing things where people can have more intimate interactions with other people while experiencing a brand, whether it's in the background or the forefront. And that to me is what creates lasting memories. It creates things to bond over, and it kind of makes whatever brand is present at that event, it makes it almost inherent to that event. So when you think about the event, you're thinking fondly of that brand. And that is the sweet spot. That's what we all in communications want to try and create. And I do think that in 2026 and probably more so in 2027, right? Because it's going to take a little while to catch up to this.
Yes.
I think you're going to see more of that. People activating smaller scale pop-ups or almost like back to, I don't want to say guerrilla marketing, but like that sort of technique with the events, right?
Yeah.
So that you are really engaging and having human connections.
Completely. And maybe, the slight extension of that is finding something that's already authentic that your brand can quite simply relate and play in the space. Jenna, I had talked to you just a little bit about something I saw a couple Fridays ago. It's this very intimate country western two-step occasion that happens every Friday night here in Chicago at the Empty Bottle. It's a lovely, tiny, tiny event space. So, we've seen bands play there, but every Friday from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., they save it for the country western two-step band. And we've been a few times. We have really good friends who just love it. It's totally their vibe. And it had been a place to go where you can get involved. You can also meet people to help you learn the steps. It's completely friendly and unafraid. It's not like going to a club where some guy will get up on you all of a sudden. It's an invitation to dance and learn the two-step. So the other night when we went, by the way, it's gotten way more populated in this tiny space. So I think that proves the point of people are getting more out and about. People are finding this. They're finding the spaces they want to connect. But wow, when I think about something like that, what if a boot brand was doing boot fittings, right? Like everyone in there is in cowboy boots.
Oh my gosh, how many of us would walk away with boots? I would. A hat, cowboy hats.
Cowboy hat, belt buckles, right?
Cool things.
You can certainly integrate music. So what is it about maybe finding the spaces that are already so authentically your brand? And I get it's hard. That's hard to find that needle in a haystack. But if you can integrate it into something that exists, also that is a bit more efficient from a budget perspective, right? Or do you create it, something that's very authentic to you? I think the difference is you're kind of curating that audience from the ground up versus folding into something that already exists. Now, of course, in a gentle way, you need to be authentic to the space, of course. But the notion gets me very excited about what we can do for our clients coming up. It's another tool in the toolbox that was always very enjoyable. It takes a lot of work, but it has always paid dividends. I do think no matter what with these events, you are growing that relationship with the customer, right?
The two things I'll say on what you just said as like almost learnings and things to take into 2026. One is actually the time that you said that this takes place. So 5:30 to 7:30, I think. It's almost what you would call snackable, right? We talk about content all the time and attention span shifting. Honestly, my attention span has shifted. My husband will try and show me a video past like 15 seconds and I'm like, okay, I got the gist. This is funny. Haha, I don't want to watch the whole thing. And he makes fun of me all the time,
Hilarious.
but it is true. Our attention
Yeah.
spans have shifted. Having an event that is 2 hours, just the right amount of time. It doesn't feel like you have to stay forever. It feels like you still have the rest of your night to go out to dinner or go do whatever you want to do.
Nailed it, Jenna. Yep.
So there's something there, I think, it making things more digestible for people. And also figuring out how to translate that to the digital space, right? Because again, this is not 15, 20 years ago. There is so much opportunity on the digital too. So taking these events and figuring out not just how to promote them, right, with like video clips and such on social, but also how to translate that to the digital space. Are there virtual opportunities to do this and host your own party? Or, there's just like limitless ideas that you can play with to bring it alive in kind of whatever way is going to work best for your target audience. And so I think that's something really fun that we'll continue to see too, is how these things come to life in many different ways.
Yeah. And take it with you, right? I mean, you can't be one and done. And I think that's the other point you're getting to, is how do you keep that engagement going in an authentic way, which is the key takeaway of any good in real life event. But the good news is, hey, let's see if she's right. Our old colleague. Are these coming back? It's something to keep an eye on.
We shall see. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that brings us to, Jenna, our favorite question about our impact this week. And did you have a good idea on that one?
So transparently here, we recorded on a Friday and now
Yes.
we were recording early in the week because
What was your
our
impact this weekend? How about that?
So here's what I will say, actually. I'm going to take it back to the top of the call with everything happening in Minnesota. And my impact was small, but hopefully combined with the impact of others, it makes a difference. There was a friend of mine who's local to it, actually, a different one of our old colleagues who's local to it. And she was collecting monetary donations just through Venmo because she has a friend who's on the ground who is actually going out and buying diapers and formula and other necessities that people are afraid to go to the stores again. And so I just sent her a donation there and then just was trying to share as many of the stories as possible on social. I truly believe that social is the tool for us right now. And if we can come together and share and kind of live in the humanity piece of it, that will help to drive some change. So small, but hopefully it made a difference in some way.
That's fantastic. And I love that your friend is doing that. I often think about these Samaritans out there that do take the extra step and make something happen. Mine is also related to that this weekend. A friend who lives in West Palm, her daughter, who has to be maybe a sophomore in high school. Don't quote me on that. I get this personal email from her. It could have been a form letter, but it definitely said, "Dear Emily." She's raising a very lofty goal for a sophomore in high school. She's trying to raise $200,000 for blood cancer research. And I have never seen a goal like that for someone of that age. I was just so impressed by that. I was impressed by the fact that she's been impacted by a friend who is fighting the good fight. So it's a very personal story for her. And it's a personal story for me as well, as my mom is impacted by a similar blood cancer too. So I said, absolutely. Right. So you make the donation. I sent her a note to just keep up the great work. You hope so much that, she'll make that goal. But even if she doesn't, she's doing the work. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Look, what I would say is small changes, incremental changes make a big difference. And that seems to be the thematic for 2026. So
yes,
let's keep it going.
How are those resolutions going?
Yeah, we'll wrap this episode with that. Keep making those small changes. It'll add up.
That's right. That's right. Love you, Jenna. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.